Eric Anderson. I teach cello and bass at Minot State University. I'd like to share a few thoughts about preparation for the All-State audition this year for cello, both the excerpt and the scales. So starting with the scales, I think that on the C string, one of the things that you'll find is that even though you might like to show full tone and use whole bow, it's probably going to be easier to keep control of the sound if you just use that much. When you get over to the A string, then if you want to use the full bow, I think it's more appropriate at that point. And then when you return back down here, you're probably going to want to return to just a little more pressure and a lower part of the bow. When you play the 16th note scale, what I'd encourage you to do is to start with, again, about this much on the first bow, the first down bow. When you get to the next down bow, you're going to be able to use the whole amount of bow, because that gets you all the way to the top. And that way, at the top of the scale on the smaller string, you're using greater bow speed. So if we do the first 8 notes, you might target being around there, and then the next 8 use the whole bow. That way you arrive all the way at the tip, and you can be increasing speed and crescendoing. And then you unwind similarly. So the very last down bow, you'll only get to about here. Okay, so first down bow to here, second down bow full, third down bow probably around there, and then the up bows correspond. Really good options. And then a third option that I think should only be used if you are really uncomfortable with this scale. I think the best option, the one that most resembles what you would do in a solo piece for the best vibrato and sound, is to bring the thumb up behind. On G, you'd bring up the thumb behind, and that way your entire hand can move up and vibrate freely. And then as you come back, then the thumb can return. Another good option is to just keep the thumb back. The only limitation there is that your vibrato will be a little bit more restricted. Okay, there is, I guess, a 2A that you could do, and that option involves keeping the thumb back. I guess you could put it up, but also using the harmonic to ensure that that A is good. I'm using the harmonic, but I can still put vibrato on it. So if you want to make use of a harmonic, you won't get as clean and consistent a sound, but you will ensure the accuracy of that A natural. Okay, and the third option, the one that I don't recommend, but I think might be most comfortable for students that are brand new to this part, is to just use thumb 1, 2 and use the harmonic. So, and then go up to thumb, which is traditionally used for A in thumb position. And you won't probably be able to put much vibrato on this. And then 1, 2. So if you're uncomfortable with the scale and you feel you won't be able to make that shift, I think thumb 1, 2 is a good thing to try, because at least you'll be able to perform the top accurately. So I'll just work through the excerpt from the top, giving you a couple of thoughts. Fully diminished 7th scale. Practice that against a drone. You can find my favorite on Spotify or YouTube. You can find a a recording called Cello Drones, and any of these pitches, G, B flat, C sharp, or E, would all work. Since you're targeting a G, though, I'd recommend a G. And then you can listen to that scale and tune it all to the pitch G. When you get to the top, it's very traditional for the conductor to take time here. Now, normally in an audition setting, I wouldn't recommend taking time, but it's always good to be aware of music and musical traditions. So, one of the ways that you can show the judge that you're intending to take time is by giving a body cue for when that last note is going to happen. Breathing with music is a natural part of it and really should be part of all performances. So, I'll count out loud, but then show you the cue that I mean. So, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I was able to show that I'm taking time, and there's the downbeat, which is just what a conductor would do. At the first entrance after the rests, 1, you should show, again, a body cue for beat 1 and 2 that's missing. So 1. That way you're showing where that beat is. 1, 2. That way, even if you and the judge are counting not in sync, he or she will know exactly where you intended to put that and will understand that you're feeling the meter. So the fingering for the last 2 notes, it's a perfect fifth, and the most natural fingering probably is going to be a barred fingering of 4/4. And this is really good for accuracy, and that second note is less important than the first. But I prefer to put vibrato on that top. And so I actually use a replacement fingering, moving from 4 over to 3. And that allows me to vibrate on 4 and then get 3 in position early, because it doesn't have to hop over the string. 1. Again, vibrate on 4, and then I can get 3 in position early, and I find that's a more melodic way to play that perfect fifth. Same for all of the next ones. So when you get to the third line, third measure, just make sure that this is a long crescendo and that you pace it well. Okay, keep that all piano, mezzo, piano. Then this next one can move forward. Now we still want to move forward. And then you come back to forte. So the accent and the forzando can be stronger than the rest of them. The accent and the forzando should have vibrato more so than all the other notes. Okay, and that last B can be backward from the D sharp, and then this is just forte. Crescendo. Okay, for these, I have elected to play open G. Now, it could be in a situation where you use 2/4 or 1/3. I think there's just a better quality of sound when you can keep that consistent, keep the finger down the whole time. So what I would recommend, if you're going to do that, make sure that the G isn't spiked. You don't want to lean on the G, because the open G is going to give a lot of power. So make sure that it's you're leaning on the upper note, and then the lower note you take a little bit of pressure off. These are staccato, and then more melodic. Accent, staccato. Okay, and I like a little bit of a crescendo here to give direction towards the fortissimo. I also, during that repeated set, replaced fourth finger with first finger. So now I'm in position for the rest of the etude. Okay, so once you get to the fortissimo, now instead of staccato, I'd like these to be punctuated with the right and left hand, but also connected. So instead of separation, you're now going to have a wall of sound. next 4 notes have tenutos. And because of those tenutos, we're going to want to distinguish them from the staccatos. The staccatos were short. The tenutos start with the lower G, but we're going to want a little more connection plus a little bit of pulse. Okay, and then for the last 4 bars, we go back to forte. And notice that the last half note has an accent. That's why I've suggested up, up, so you can get to the frog. Okay, so I hope those thoughts are helpful as you prepare. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to meet over Zoom or answer in an email or text. Thank you.